RJ Barrett is on the hot seat entering year 5 of his NBA career. And in today's show, I'm going to tell you how he can cool the hot seat and become an all-star. But first, I want to hear from you. Do you believe in RJ Barrett? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Can RJ Barrett put it all together as he enters his 5th season with the Knicks and really enters a season where it's a make or break year for the young 23-year-old forward for New York? In today's show, I'm going to tell you what he has to do and things he can improve on to become an all-star, be the third player in this big three for New York, and help them become a contender in the Eastern Conference. I think it is important to note, though, that the Knicks have had trade conversations with RJ dating all the way back to last offseason when the Donovan Mitchell-Palooza was ongoing. They also had RJ Barrett as a part of a potential Paul George trade with the Clippers and the Knicks earlier this offseason. So if RJ wants to cool the trade rumors surrounding him, he has to be more consistent. And it's all about consistency for RJ Barrett. He's been really good at some things some years. In other years, he's taken steps back. Like he shot 40% from three one year in the NBA. And in this past year, he had his worst season from beyond the three-point arc. When you look at what he's done so far through the first 4 years of his NBA career, he has had some ups and he has also had some downs. He was really good in the playoffs for the Knicks this year. We saw that he somewhat struggled, though, in the regular season. But what I loved about him was the never say die mindset. He was able to go from having a bad regular season where he took a step back from three and a step back on the defensive end to raise his level of play in the playoffs. Sure, the scoring numbers stayed about the same, 19 points per game, and he only shot a little bit better from three. But that stretch from Game 3 against the Cleveland Cavaliers to Game 5 against the Miami Heat, he was arguably the second best Knick on that team. And I want to take a look at this stat right here, which comes from my guy Tag on Twitter. Give him a follow, IQ for 3. So a lot of stuff to unpack here, but I want to look at the top left right here. Perimeter defense for RJ Barrett in 2021 and 2022. He was graded out at an A+ by Basketball Index and ranked in the 98th percentile. So he's been a good NBA defender before. This past year, not so good. Then I want to go down to RJ Barrett finishing in 2022 and 2023, where he graded out as an A in drives per 75 possessions, and he also, at rim shot creation, struggled. So we've seen him be really good, and we've seen him be really bad. But the rim shot making that you see at the bottom was at A+, 100%, and the finishing talent at 97%. Let's go to the top right, perimeter shooting. That's from 2020 to 2021. Three-pointers, he was graded out at an A-, which was the 87th percentile. And then at the bottom right quadrant, RJ Barrett's playmaking, his playmaking talent in 2021 was graded out at an A, and he ranked in the 95th percentile. So what I'm saying is, if you can put RJ Barrett's perimeter defense from 2021, his perimeter shooting from 2020, his finishing from 2022, and his playmaking in 2021 all into one player, that is an all-star. That's a really good player. And he would be one of the best players under the age of 25 in the NBA. So he's done it all before, but he's got to put it all together. Let's talk about 5 ways, though, that RJ can improve from being a guy that's looked at as part of a mid-3 for the New York Knicks and really the Achilles heel sometimes of this team. How can he improve? He has to become a better catch-and-shoot player from downtown. His three-point percentage on catch-and-shoot situations has to be better. This past year, he shot 32.3% on catch-and-shoots from downtown, and he got up 4.6 per night. That's unacceptable, and it's one of the worst rates in the NBA. But we saw in 2021, he knocked down 37% of those shots. And in 2020, he knocked down 41% of those shots. So he's done it before. 2023, he's got to do it. A reason, though, that the catch and shoot is so important for RJ is because the Knicks, they have 2 players on this roster, Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, who were 2 of the top 10 most double-teamed players in the NBA last season. What does that mean? RJ is going to get a whole lot of open shots from downtown. And he has to be better when shooting from the corner from downtown because the Knicks, they attempted the second most corner threes in the NBA per game last year, 10.2 per night, and they only knocked them down at a 37.9% clip. Why? Because RJ Barrett and Julius Randle ranked as the 9th and 10th worst corner three-point percentage shooters in the NBA. They both have to be better. But for RJ, be a better catch-and-shoot guy and knock down the corner three better, and I promise you, no one's going to be talking about trading RJ anymore. A step that he did make this year that I like is finishing around the rim. But he needs to get even better in that department because we know when RJ is determined, when he wants to get downhill, he can get there. His drives per 75 possessions are always going to be at the top of the league. But he has to become even more efficient in those areas. Let's take a look at his career when it comes to his field goal percentage when he is less than 5 feet away from the basket. This past year was the best of his 4-year start in the league. Converted 57.6%, which isn't great, but it's solid, and it's growth from almost every single year in the league. But a spot that I want to see him really take personal and become better at is his field goal percentage in the paint when he's in the non-restricted area. If you don't know what the restricted area is, it's the little semicircle right in front of the basket where you can't take a charge in. If you do, it's going to be a block. That means more floaters, more little runners, softer touch. RJ has to be better in this area. He's gotten better throughout his career, but only converting on 39.7%, that really hurts him. So he needs to be a more creative and efficient finisher in the paint and not just in the restricted area. He needs to expand his range around the basket. I want to ask this question, though, before we get to my other 3 ways RJ can become an all-star, is this. Can he ever be an all-star? Will he ever get that nod on the Knicks or in his NBA career? Type A if you think he could be an all-star, or D if you think they're going to be like, denied, no all-star for RJ Barrett. Point number 3, his defensive effort needs to become full-time. Because I see it all the time. When RJ's engaged, he's a good defender. Thing is, he's not always engaged. And that is a problem. Because when you look at his defensive rating throughout his NBA career, he's been solid on that end of the court before. In 2020 and 2021, he was ranked as a good defender. And remember, like I told you at the beginning of the video, in the 2021-2022 season, he was graded as an A-plus on-ball perimeter defender, which ranked in the 98th percentile. But when you have a defensive rating through the season of 117, that's one of the worst in the NBA for NBA starters. And he needs to just become more active on that end. There should never, ever, 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 ever be a season or a game where RJ Barrett averages less than 1 deflection per 48 minutes. That's a joke. That's laziness. That's low IQ. That's not playing the passing lanes. That pretty much tells me you don't give a shit sometimes. And that's sometimes the takeaway I get when watching RJ. But what pisses me off is in 2022, this year, he had a defensive rating of 117. That jumped all the way up, well, technically down, because the lower the number, the better, to 110 in the playoffs, which means the only thing that changed was the stakes of the game and his energy and effort. Defensive effort has to be better for RJ. Also, another area that he has to improve on is playmaking, because we've seen, even dating back to his Duke days, he was able to be somewhat of a point forward and get involved in those pick and rolls and get it to Zion or Cam Reddish or Jones in the backcourt. He was solid, but I want to see him be a better playmaker. And I have some pretty, let's say, interesting stats that we're going to get to about his playmaking career so far. But first, you need to get hooked up with our proud sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet, link right there, and use this promo code chat125. They're going to hook you up with a 125% deposit bonus, which means put $100 into your account and they'll match it with 125. So you'll have 225 big ones to bet on. And right now, the Knicks have the 6th best odds to become the Eastern Conference champions. It's good value at plus 1,600. You can literally place a low amount of money on that and get some big upside results. You got the Celtics, Bucks, Heat, Sixers, Cavs, and ahead of the Knicks. If you think that they're a team, though, that can do it, place your bet. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code chat125. The reason I believe RJ has to become a better playmaker is because he is ranked as one of the worst players in points per pick and roll and percentile. He only averaged 0.8 points per pick and roll this year, 44th percentile. What I do like, though, is that this was the best of his career, which means he's worked on this. He's gotten better at this, and he can be decent. But 44th percentile is an absolute joke, my friends. One thing I'd like to see from RJ is passing out of drives a little bit more. Eliminate some of those extremely tough shots he takes in the paint and be more of a drive and kick player. If you do that, you're going to average more assists, and your percentage around the basket is going to go up because you're not taking as many bad shots. I want to see him be better in the pick and roll, and I like to see the Knicks run more for him if he's able to execute. The last place I want to see him focus on. These are not like hard things. Catch and shoot threes, finishing around the rim, effort, playmaking. But this is the easiest way for him to take his game to the next level. Transition. Get out and transition. Run. Get those easy buckets. Because when you look at what he's done so far, his points per game in transition is not good. 4.2 points per game this past year. 31st percentile. 5.1 in 2021. 47th percentile. Look, if this is horrible. His rookie year, 17th percentile in points per game in transition. The Knicks need RJ Barrett to be a guy that gets out in the open court and runs, gets those easy buckets. And that will help RJ go a long way. Easy buckets will help that field goal percentage and that efficiency skyrocket. There are clear, obvious ways for RJ to become a key piece on this team and to take his name out of those trade rumors. Be a better catch and shoot guy. Finish around the rim better. You improved. Keep improving. Show some damn defensive effort like you did in the playoffs. Be a better playmaker. Don't be afraid to pass out of drives to an open Quentin Grimes in the corner. And get out, get on your horse, frickin' run, and throw it down in transition in Madison Square Garden. If RJ Barrett even incrementally improves in all five of these categories, he might be an all-star this year. And that's coming from me. As always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in to Knicks Now by Chat Sports. If you disagree with what I said and you want to yell at me on Twitter, let's get it on. Give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_.